Christine Pitawanich with your weekly recap, where we catch you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. We'll talk about Providence closing the birthing center at its seaside hospital and getting rid of some nurses. Plus, how Oregon's state leaders are pushing back against the federal government's stance on sanctuary city policies. And the long lines in Ridgefield, with Washington seeing its first InNOut open this week. We begin with our top story of the week, which is the latest closure that the local nurses union says is part of a dangerous trend. Providence Seaside Hospital announced this week it'll close its birthing center October 4th. The hospital's chief administrative officer said the center is down to 1 birth per week. That's about half what they saw a decade ago. The closure means 12 nursing positions are going away.
We have many long-standing nurses who have worked in our maternity department for many years. They are beloved to us. They're amazing nurses, and so this is a very sad and very difficult decision.
The closest birthing centers will be Columbia Memorial Hospital in Astoria and Astoria Birth Center, which is roughly a 30-minute drive away. Providence says patients in crisis can access Seaside's emergency room, where all doctors are trained to deliver babies. A Washougal teen has died after falling from the Cape Horn Lookout. The Skamania County Sheriff's Office says the 17-year-old's brother called 911 after the fall along SR 14, telling dispatchers that he tried to call out to his brother but did not get any response. Search teams recovered the teen's body from the cliffside. His death has been ruled an accident. Copper theft is on the rise around the U.S., and it turns out Oregon and Washington are the top states in the country when it comes to the crime. According to internet provider CenturyLink, people are cutting cables and stealing the copper from inside the rubber casing. They say it's happened more than 370 times in Washington this year and 140 times in Oregon. That is up from about 80 incidents in Oregon last year. Every time a cable is cut, there's an outage affecting anywhere from 10 to 100,000 customers.
My fear is at this rate, eventually it's going to cause a death, not contribute to it. It's going to cause a death because someone can't get help. Some of this is narcotics driven. A large majority of it is by groups of people who are looking for a way to get their next fix.
Right now, copper is worth about $4 a pound. To try and put a stop to the thefts, CenturyLink is moving away from copper in favor of less profitable materials. In Multnomah County, deputies say a driver led them on a chase in the middle of the night along I-84, and it turns out the driver was only 13 years old. The sheriff's office says it happened around 3:15 last Sunday morning. That's when a deputy tried to stop a driver who they thought may have been driving under the influence. They say the car sped off, and deputies eventually had to use spike strips to stop it.
Everyone on the scene was shocked to see that the driver was actually a 13-year-old kid. If that car had crashed, it could have been tragic.
Investigators say the 13-year-old driver had 5 other teens in the car with him. Police said 2 of them were reported runaways. Fortunately, no one was hurt in all of this. The 13-year-old, though, faces several charges, including reckless driving and eluding a police officer. Lawmakers in Oregon and Washington are pushing back against threats from the Trump administration over sanctuary immigration policies. The governors of both states say they will not change their values. Here's KGW's Evan Watson with that story.
The U.S. government is pressuring states like Washington and Oregon to change its sanctuary laws and immigration policies. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson says there's no chance.
Washington State will not be bullied or intimidated by threats and legally baseless accusations.
Last week, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi sent a letter to sanctuary states and cities across the country, saying sanctuary policies are obstructing and thwarting a federal crackdown on illegal immigration. Through sanctuary policies, local and state resources don't cooperate or assist with federal immigration enforcement.
If people are doing bad things, it is the responsibility of the federal government, who now just got how many billions of dollars more to do their job, Do your damn job and leave us the hell alone.
Oregon Governor Tina Kotek responded to AG Bondi in a letter, saying Oregon doesn't obstruct immigration enforcement and the state is in compliance with federal law. Washington State Representative Julio Cortez says sanctuary laws represent a promise.
This law is about keeping local resources focused where they belong, on protecting public safety and not carrying out the work of federal immigration enforcement. It ensures that when a parent drives their kid to school, when a worker gets to their job site, or when someone calls 911 in an emergency, that help will come without fear that help will come with handcuffs and deportation.
Bondi says the Trump administration could cut contracts and grants to sanctuary areas as punishment for their lack of cooperation. Ferguson says he'll take that on.
Look, we have to navigate that. We're going to have to find a way to navigate the billions of dollars in cuts to Medicaid. That we also have to make sure we are, as a state, upholding our values as a state.
Evan Watson, KGW News.
The city of Portland also replied to Attorney General Pam Bondi's letter, saying the city complies with applicable federal and state laws and will continue to follow those laws. Meantime, protests outside the ICE facility in South Portland have forced a charter school in that neighborhood to move. The school says it's had to deal with chemicals and smoke in the area, as well as debris on the playground. The Cottonwood School of Civics and Science used to sit right next to the ICE facility, but now the charter school is leasing space from Bridges Middle School about a mile away on Southwest First Avenue.
And people were saying we're not going to send them because we're next to the ICE building. Our garden was enveloped in gases one evening, and we started to think we might not be able to mediate this in the school year and open on time.
Teachers now are moving fast to organize their classrooms for the start of the new school year. Kids attending the school will be back in the classroom September 2nd. In a developing story now, Portland's first ever homeless village for people living in RVs is closing next month. Since the Sunderland RV Safe Park opened a couple of years ago, about 160 people have stayed there. The shutdown comes after City Council voted to stop funding the site after September 30th. We spoke with people who say if they don't have all their vehicles' paperwork, like registration and insurance, they'll be towed to a city storage lot.
It was really unfair, and it made us feel kind of like tricked, because when we came in here, we were never told we were risk losing our place. We were told we would get help getting a real place.
The city says it is working with the county to get everyone at the RV park into some sort of housing or transferred to other shelters. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek's task force just released a report that says, among other things, that Multnomah County should lower taxes to boost the local economy. At the center of the conversation, two big programs: Preschool for All and the Portland Clean Energy Fund. The task force released a list of recommendations that include reallocating extra money collected by the Portland Clean Energy Fund. Money going into that fund comes from a surcharge on large retailers and was projected to bring in about $30 to $90 million a year. But the Portland Metro Chamber president, who sits on the task force, says it's made much more.
The fund, where the surcharge goes, is now sitting on somewhere between $500 and $600 million, while all of us in the community sit around and watch core services like cleaning, safety, economic development, small business support, transportation, in a structural crisis.
Meantime, the county's Preschool for All tax affects residents making more than $125,000 a year, or $200,000 for those filing jointly. On Thursday, county commissioners voted to maintain that tax, but they plan to revisit that issue. And the wait is over. This week, InNOut fans were so excited to see the burger chain's first location in Washington officially open its doors on Wednesday in Ridgefield. Some loyal InNOut lovers waited over 12 hours just to be among the first in line. Devin Haskins was there.
1, 2, 3.
By mid-morning, Washington State's first InNOut restaurant was officially open.
I feel great. Yeah, it's. I think I was like number 3 in order to get food, but yeah, it feels amazing to finally, have InNOut closer to home.
Hours before, lines of people waited overnight.
I got here about 8:16 last night.
Some even coming from as far as Seattle to get their fix of a double-double and animal-style fries.
I've never been to an InNOut grand opening, and it's the only one in Washington State, and I'm born and raised Washingtonian, so I figured I'd call out for work for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
The Ridgefield InNOut location has been a long-awaited opening. It's been about a year and a half since the restaurant chain got the ball rolling.
Drive-through or dine-in?
And as the parking lot filled with cars, the concern of congestion to get in never really materialized.
We put a lot of thought into making the best plan that we can, because the last thing we'd like to do is come in and interrupt everybody else's, day.
I'm number 1.
From the first in line to maybe the chain's biggest Washington State fan.
I'm a big fan. I believe in the company, the way that they do business, and I love the food. And so, yeah, I wanted to indicate that.
Hundreds, if not thousands, showed up for opening day. And when the dining room was full,
I came here just for these fries, man. Amazing.
A tailgate in a dusty parking lot worked as a table.
It's honestly just the best burger I've ever had. I've been waiting for this day all my life.
InNOut drawing in the crowds, each with their own unique order.
I'm going to get 3 double-doubles.
I usually like to have a double-double with grilled onion and add mustard.
A cheeseburger and soda.
Devin Haskins, KGW News.
On what's going to be a hot day in Portland, I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. Of course I don't have a jacket on. It's going to be 100 today. I was kidding in the hallway. You're lucky I have pants on. All right, to get serious though, our extreme heat warning will be in effect for our area into this afternoon and continuing at least through Monday night. And here at KGW, we feel like we could be in the mid-90s all the way through Tuesday and even Wednesday potentially. So our alert goes for quite a while for these hot conditions. We talked about this yesterday, the extreme heat warning map from our friends at the Weather Service from south of Eugene up into Portland, up into Clark County for areas that are expected to be near to hitting 100 degrees today that don't do it that often. We feel like the orange areas will probably not make it to 100, but could be close. Kelso Longview, for example, up in Cowlitz County is under a heat advisory. 97 is a projected high. And there is the range, at least today through Monday in the valley, 95 to 103 degrees. So for Portland, specifically looking at PDX and what those records are, here's what we think we could do in the coming days. Portland potentially hitting 6 days in a row, starting today, of 90 and hotter. And it was 89 yesterday. Possible 100-degree temperatures out at the airport today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Record highs today through Monday, each day potentially. Not much wind overnight. Temperatures will get down into the 60s, but the problem is without much wind, there's not much to blow the breeze through the screen door, right, for folks that don't have AC. So it's going to be cooler outdoors in the coming nights than it will be indoors if you don't have air conditioning. I was talking about maybe some fog banks on Sunday, but now it looks like the Oregon coast will just stay sunny all the way through Sunday, and that means as many people will be warming to 80 as not along our coast. So everything obviously in the coming days forecast-wise here in Portland will be about the temperature, right? So this is one weather model at 5 o'clock. Shows Tillamook 80, that's inland a little bit in the bay. Shows Portland 100, Salem, Corvallis 101, 100. Shows 99 in the Dalles. Not as hot today in central and eastern Oregon, but you folks will be seeing your temperatures rise during the day tomorrow. I think this model is probably too cool for what we will be getting overnight tonight. This shows 62, 60. Usually when Portland hits 90 or above, especially nearing 100, we're more like 65, 66, 67 the next morning. So we'll see. I do believe this is correct when it shows that however this plays out, Saturday will be the hottest actual temperature here in the Rose City. This shows us 102, about the same in Salem and Corvallis, 102 in the Dalles, and there are the warming temperatures out east, including 100 degrees out in Arlington. Well, clear skies up over the mountain. This is our Hood to Coast Relay Weekend. This is up on Timberline Lodge on Mount Hood as well, looking at the area where the runners for the relay have been taking off. Early this morning, they were starting off in the low 60s, so it's been comfortable up there. You can see it's definitely breezy. They've had north winds bouncing about 20, 24 miles per hour. Some shallow fog this morning along our coast, but it will be a sunny day. And inland areas, our state capital in Salem, Portland, looking at the Motor Center where the Trailblazers play NBA basketball, all clear. Coast temperatures today, as I mentioned, mid-70s, getting up into the 80s. Out in the Columbia River Gorge, people hiking and recreating. Also heat, 97 Hood River, the Dow's 100. Generally light winds in the gorge this time around. Valley forecast numbers right about 100 to as hot as 102. This shows Salem at 102. Here's the big map later this afternoon at 5 o'clock. We saw a similar map earlier, so let me get you to the 7-day forecast. The red is the impact alert for mid-90s or above in Portland. Again, 100, 102, 99, 96 through Monday could all be records. I don't have us below 90 until Thursday of next week.
And that's a wrap on your weekly recap. Again, I'm Christine Pitawanich, and a reminder, you can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, your KGW app, or our YouTube channel.